Hello, everybody. Welcome to Module 4 of uh, Business Analytics. In this module, we have data on a company that sells some services, let's say a gym that sells membership in two different years, year 2021 and year 2022. We have data on all months, so it means from January to December. And the company sells membership at three different states, Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin. We have data on sales and we have data on costs. So we can easily be calculated profit. Profit is just equal to sales minus cost. And we also calculated profit margin, which is 100 times profit divided by sales. Now, given this data, so we have again 72 rows, and the first row is also title, so the last row would be 73. And we have how many columns? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So 4, 5, 6, 7 columns. Now, given this data set, we want to do some different stuff. We want to practice, for example, by creating a pivot table and then bar chart, scanner chart, line chart, pie chart, if statement, sorting, use of dollar sign, filtering, t-test. Let's see how we can do it. So the first thing we want to do is a pivot table. How can we do a pivot table in Excel? So first of all, you got to select your data. So you select everything that you want to be included. Click on Insert and then you go to Pivot Table. Check and uncheck variables as you need. What does that mean? So let me get started here. Here, I'm going to just select everything. How can I do that? Selecting everything with Command A on Mac. You can select everything. So Command A. And on Windows, on PC, it's Control A. So I selected everything here. Now I go to Insert right here. And after that, the first item under Insert is Pivot Table. I click on that. There will be a box that pops up. And let's read that box together. Table range, it gives me this data exclamation mark, which is the tab that I am using or worksheet I'm using. Dollar sign A, dollar sign 1, that's the first cell, A1. Colon dollar sign G, dollar sign 73, that's the last cell that I want to use. Now here I have two different options, new worksheet or existing worksheet. Again, as we talked about it, like we use the phrase or word worksheet and tab alternatively and equivalently. So worksheet just means tab. Do you want the pivot table to be created as a new tab or just the existing one? I usually do it on new tab. Let's do that. Let's click on that. As soon as you do this, a table like this appears. Now, if you have a table like this, so we want to see what items we need. So I want in this specific example, I want to have, for example, sales number. So in assignments, you might be asked about profit. Rather than sales, you would choose profit. I want all the states and I want all the months. So I want something like this. Yes. These are items that I'm interested. Now, however, this is not exactly the format that I am interested. So for rows, I want to be, let's say, months, but I want states to be my columns. So I'm going to just bring my mouse on state and then drag it all the way to columns. As soon as I do that, I get this table. So look at this table. The interesting part is that Excel automatically gives me the grand total, both in the column and in the row. Yes. So the grand total that I have here on column E, it means for each month, we have the sum of these three states, Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin. And here this grand total is the total sales in Illinois in all 12 months. Here, this grand total is total sales in all 12 months for Indiana. And in this column, we have all sales in state of Wisconsin in all 12 months. This grand total is just total sum of sales. Is that something I'm interested? Yes. Great. Now, so we are done with pivot tables. Pivot table is a very powerful tool in our disposal, but just remember you have to select what you are interested and then just play with these like columns and rows and values. So that's the pivot table that we have. Now let's do the second thing that we want to do. Let's say a bar chart. For a bar chart, I already have these numbers, but how did I create this table? Let me get rid of this and show you how I created this table. So in this tab that was created, pivot table, I can copy everything. So I select everything, the rows that I want, and then I copy everything. With Command C, you can always copy on Mac, and with Control C, you can copy on PC. As soon as you copy, you see this like something like snakes, moving snakes would appear here around the area that you want to copy. That means you're doing fine. I go here, let's say on cell A1, I click here, and with Command V, I can paste. However, as you can see, it's a little bit different than the format that we wanted, yes? So here on bar chart, it's a little bit different, yes? Like, what's the difference? The thing that happens is that sometimes when you do that, you just use Command V to paste. There might be a relationship between this table and the original one. So when you paste something, for example, if you paste a formula, then the pasted one might be pasted as a formula. So if you make a change in the first tab on the original tab, then the same impact would be transferred to the second table. Sometimes we don't want that. So rather than just using Control B, we can do something called paste special. Paste specials and then values here. How can we do paste special? So in this format, I'm gonna do this undo, or I can just delete what I have here. Oh, me to escape. What happened? I'm trying to delete everything. Now that I deleted everything, I want to do paste special. So you can just right click, and don't forget right click is control click on Mac. So here is my let's say sheet 1 data. I'm going to select it here, Command C on Mac, come to this tab bar chart, and then I right click and I do something called paste specials and then values. So here in Windows, in PC, it has like on the paste special these things that's called 1, 2, 3. And then on Mac, you have to go to paste special and then click on or choose values, something like this. And now, when you do that, then there will be any relationships between the original table and the table that you just created. If you do like paste special and then values, only values or numbers would be pasted, and the formula from the original tab would be transferred to the secondary tab that we have. Okay, now we have the data that we want to use to create the bar chart. Now ignore the grand total row and column. We don't want to use them. And select everything else. So except last row and last column, choose everything else. Go to insert and we want to make a bar chart. So which one is a bar chart? As you can see, the first chart that we have here, as you hover over it, Excel tells you it's insert column or bar chart. You can just click on that. You'll be provided and given different charts. The first one is the best one. First one is the one that we are going to use. And we can just do this bar chart. Yes, now in the bar chart you can always adjust different things. For example, you can change the title to whatever that you want. Yes, whatever you're interested. For example, I don't know, maybe uh, let's say chart title is gonna be sales bar charts. Yes, something like that. And so that's a good thing that we can easily change everything. Now these bar charts allows you to just, first of all, for each month you can compare the amount of sales between these three states. Like Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, you can just easily compare for each month. And how do we know which color belongs to which state? Excel tells us right here. So blue is Illinois, orange is Indiana, and gray is Wisconsin. Excel generates that automatically for us, so we don't have to worry about that part. Yes, that's a good thing. And it also tells us which one is which. So that's a very good thing. But we can also do another thing. We can track over time what's happening, for example, in sales in Illinois. If you just take a look at this, like from January to February to March, it goes all the way up to maybe July, and then after that it goes down. Yes, we can do that and see that. Now we can also, for example, make a bar chart only for, let's say, like if we want the combination of all of these. Can we do that? Can we do that bar chart only for, let's say, grand total? Yes, we can do that easily. But for that, so I'm going to just put this, maybe make this a little bit smaller. And then now, so what's the goal? Now, the goal is to make a bar chart for grand total of all three states. So I want this column and I want the last column. So I select the first column. I hold the command button down on Mac or Control bottom down on PC, and then select the second column that I'm interested. So let's select this column. So hold the Control bottom down and then select this, not the grand total, yes. So January to December, and then this the months. So I go to insert one more time and I select the first chart and the first item. Now this is the grand total for each month, yes. So I'm going to change the title, maybe grand total for sales, yes. Now let me maybe make this a little bit smaller. How can I make a chart smaller? Just go to one of the corners and then make it smaller. Yes. Now I have this. Let me move it a little bit down like this. And then, so I have this grand total. I'm a little bit hesitant that what's the true amount for example, January. So if I hover over that, it's going to tell me 25, 29. February, I hover over that, 24, 98. March 27, 62. But if you right click on that and click on add data labels, Excel gives you this numbers, so you don't have to worry about hovering over that. So just right click and then say add data labels. Yes. So that was the bar chart. Second chart I'm interested in is scatter charts. Scatter charts is a chart that, as you know, if you want to see the relationship between two numerical variables, that's the best chart for you. So now here I have two numerical variables and I'm interested in their relationships. What are they? Let's say here I'm interested in the relationship between profit and sales. Yes. So I want to make that like sales versus profits. So that's an interesting one. I want to see the relationship between sales and profit, and I want to make a scatter chart that shows me. I want the profit to be vertical axis and I want sales to be horizontal. So I go here. First, I select sales, yes. Right here, including the title, I would select everything. Now you have to select second column, which is profit. As you can see, profit is non-adjacent column to sales. It means they are not just by each other. There is some column between them. Costs is between them. So when you want to select two non-adjacent columns, you have to hold the in Mac Command bottom down and then just select it. So on PC, on PC it's Control button. For a second I hit the Alt button, so I have to do it again. But now I'm holding on a PC Control button down. On Mac, that's going to be Command button. And I select the second column, which is profit. Now that everything is selected, how do I know that these are selected? You see the color is a little bit different. It's like not white. It's like something between gray and blue, whatever color you call this, but it's highlighted. How about that? So now I selected the two columns that I'm interested. I go to insert and then I want to make a scatter plot. Scatter plot is the last chart that you have. So I go to scatter plot, I click on that, and then I choose the first option. Here's the first option. Now I have everything. I have profit on the vertical axis. I have sales on the horizontal axis. Maybe I want to change this. I'm gonna write profit versus sales. Now let's make a few other changes. For example, let's see if I want to make some changes. For example, I want to maybe I'm not sure, but let's say I submit this to a colleague and the colleague doesn't know, okay, which one is profit, which column, which axis is profit, is vertical axis profit or horizontal axis. So somehow I want to mention, for example, vertical axis is profit, horizontal axis is sales. I want to mention the name of each axis. So I go to add chart elements, and so it's under chart design, add chart elements, and I click on axis title, and then if I go to primary horizontal, I can type this. For example, I can delete this and say sales. If I do that one more time and I go to axis titles, I get to choose primary vertical, and then just Excel types it for, like, you just type it ordinarily and then Excel makes it vertical for you. So I'm going to just type profits. Now I know vertical axis is profit, horizontal axis is sales, and that's a good thing, yes. So what else I can do? Another thing I can do is I can add a regression line, or sometimes it's called prediction line. If I go to add chart elements and I click on trend line and then maybe linear, Excel adds this regression line for me, or prediction line. So the prediction line is the line closest to all the data points. It's right in the middle. So now my regression line has been added to the chart. If I want to get the equation for this line, that's very important to get the equation for the line. I can just go to the line, right click on the line, and then so format trend line. And as soon as I do that, I get to, for example, click on display equation on the chart. So you click on display equation on the chart, you get the equation for the chart. You can move the equation a little bit so you know the equation, you can read it better. That's a very useful thing, yes. I'm going to close this window. Now I was asked a question here. What is predicted profit when sales equals 500? Now I have the equation, yes. What was the equation? I'm going to just type the equation here. So to just have it, y, or let's say, so y is profit here. So I'm going to just type the equation here, profit equals 0.5037 times x. So x is here sales minus 125.66. So that's the equation that I have. Now let's see what the question is. What is predicted profit when sales equals 500? So all you gotta do is to plug in this 500 for the amount of sales that we have. So essentially I want to calculate this number equals 0.5037 times 500 minus 125.66. Now that's what I want to know, and you just gotta type it and hit enter. The answer is 126.19. Perfect. As so just predicted that this, and there are many other things you can do. But as soon as you click on the charts, you have under the chart design and chart elements, and you can do different things here, data labels, and, different things. Yes, you can just play around with all of this. One of them is, for example, axis, and then I don't know, primary vertical or primary horizontal, different things. Yes, you can always just make some changes here and there. But this is the most important thing we wanted to do. Now that we did the scatter chart and we made a prediction, so this is called a prediction. We predicted that profit would be 126.19 if sales is $500. Prediction is very important in business. Let's move on to the next chart. Let's see line chart. Yes. So line chart is another kind of chart that we value a lot. Line charts are very important. For example, when you want to track a variable through time. So for line charts, again, so for bar chart, I used the pivot table. For scatter chart, I use the original data. For line chart, I'm going to use the pivot table one more time. So I already copied and pasted special the pivot table, and I want to see sales, monthly sales for different states throughout the time. So how do we do that? I'm going to just go and select everything, but not the grand total. Because grand total is like so big that makes everything else insignificant. I'm going to select everything. I'm going to go to insert, and then let's see, like just if, for example, for the first time you're doing that and you don't know this. So we know this one was bar chart, this one was scatter plot, this one was histogram. This one doesn't look like it. It's a pie chart, and this is what we want to do. And as soon as you hover over this chart, Excel tells you insert line or area chart. So you click on it, and again the first item right here. Now you can track the sales amount throughout the time. So remember, line charts are whenever you have a time series and you want to see a variable of interest throughout the time, you can use a line chart. Time is usually depicted on horizontal axis. You can change the title. I can change the title from chart title to, let's say, line charts for sales. And then I have all the states here and everything right here. So all you're going to do is to select your data, go to insert and click on line charts. Okay, that was a line chart. What's next? Next is pie charts. So let's see what the question is. So I want to see, for example, what portion of total sales come from state of Illinois? What portion of total sales is from state of Indiana? What portion of total sales is from Wisconsin? Now, again, this is data from pivot table that I pasted here. Now that I want to do the pie chart, first of all, I have to create this table, state ILINWI, and then You can type them manually because we know for Illinois the grand total. So here is state and here is grand total 6. Yes. So this is grand total 6. Now, one way that we can do this is just to manually type it out. But it's not the best thing. Just how if we had like 50 states or we had, I don't know, 3,000 counties. So we don't want to do that. Now, if you want to do the, if you want to, for example, create this small table that we have here, like 3 state names and grand total, again, you can do this. Select, let's say state names. Hold the command button on window and control button on, sorry, command button on Mac and control button in window down and select this row. And I selected everything. I'm gonna just copy it. So this means that I did the copying correctly. Now if I paste my data right like this, there is a problem. Yes, this is not the format I wanted. I want all the states to be on a column and all the values to be on another column. So something like this. For that, if you want, you have to do paste transpose, another special case of paste. So you right click on the paste options, you want to do paste transpose. So this is the option on Windows. On Mac, you're going to click on paste special and then just do, let's say, paste transpose. So here we have paste all formulas, values, format, comments, validation, all except borders, formulas and numbers, values, none, and transpose right here. Yes, click on this. The easier option was to just do this again. This is only on Windows, but just do this. So you see these like 2 arrows, one to right, one to down. That gives you the transpose. Yeah, so 2 different ways. Now that you paste the transpose, you can select your data and then do the pie chart. Yes. So for pie chart, you just go to insert and then this circle gives you the pie chart. And again, as always, click on the first one. So we just did the pie chart. However, I want something more than that. I want, for example, to determine the values, to mention the percentages and values. How can I do that? Right click on the chart and add data labels. So I'm going to right click on the chart and add data labels. As soon as I do that, I get all the values. Now I want, so these are a little bit like, I want to see the percentages. Is there any way? So one way is that you hover over them and Excel gives you the percentages. But is there any other way that percentage would be written down here? Yes. Right click on chart and format data labels. And then click on percentages. That gives you the percentages as well. Perfect. Now we have, and as always, you can change the chart title. Yes, pie charts for sales. Okay, that concludes all the things we wanted to learn about graphs. Now let's move on to the next topic that we have, which is if statements. Look at these data sets. We have year, month, state, sales, cost, profit, profit margin. Now we want to, for example, create a new column and call it new states and convert Wisconsin to Michigan. Yes, whenever you have Wisconsin, you want to make it Michigan. Let's say at the end of data entry, you realize that you made a mistake and you want to do that. You want to convert, create a new column, call it new state, and then convert all the Wisconsin's to Michigan. So I'm going to just do this, type equals if, open the parentheses, yes, and the syntax is here, logical test, comma, value if true, comma, value if false. So I'm going to say what column is, let's say state is here, right here, C2. So I'm going to say if C2 equals Wisconsin, then comma, return Michigan. If C2 is not Wisconsin, then return C2 itself. Hit enter and you get this. And then as always, double click on the filler points. And then it might just not. But I just did this, and then all the Wisconsins have been transformed to Michigan. Yes. So what was the formula? Equals if C2 equals Wisconsin. So it says if C2 is Wisconsin, then rather than Wisconsin, replace it with Michigan, comma C2. If this condition is not met, like for Illinois or Indiana is not met, then keep it as C2. Next example. What's the median of sales? So we can easily calculate that. If sale is higher than median, it's 1, otherwise it's 0. Create a new column called sales underscore group, and then if it is, let's say, so first of all, I'm going to calculate what's the median for sales. The median for sales would be equals median, and then for sales, so sales is column D, and I'll just type D column D. 499.5, yes. So I want to create a column that if sales for a row is greater than this 499.5, then amount for this, let's say, sales group would be 1, otherwise it would be 0. How can I do that? I can say equals if D2 is greater than 499.5, then this column sales group would be 1, otherwise it would be 0. And I hit enter. So you see this one, for example, sales is greater than 499.5, then this is gonna be 1. Now I want to do that for all rows, so every now and then you have to just drag it down. Here we go. As you can see, like whenever a row is greater, like when sales is greater than median sales, which was 499.5, then it takes value 1. If it is less than that, it takes value 0. Now we have 72 observations. What is the sum of the new column sales group? So as you can see it right here, it's 36. Why? Because it's median. Median means a number that 50% of observations are higher than that. 50% of observations are less than that. So here, 36 out of 72, which is 50%, takes value 1, 36 take value 0. You add 136 times to itself, then the answer would be 36. So that was if statement. Next thing we want to do is to sort your data. So let's see what we are expected to do. Sort with respect to first state, then sales. So right now, my data is sorted first with respect to year and then month, not alphabetically, but like time-wise. And then inside each year and month, my data is sorted by states. Yes, IN is before IN and IN is before WI. However, now I want to first sort with respect to first state and sales. So I don't want my data to be sorted by, let's say, year or month anymore. I want to sort with respect to state, so all the Illinois would be first, all the Indianas then second, and all the Wisconsins are going to be third. Then inside each of those 24 rows, I want them to be sorted, let's say, by sales in a decreasing way. Yes. How can I do that? So if you want to sort your data, all you're going to do is to go here, go to sort, so sort and filter, yes. Sort and filter, largest to smallest, let's say. So how do we sort that data? Now we have to sort with respect to, again, two variables. First with respect to state and then sales. So you select your data and remember this is with more than one criteria. Yes, so you select your data and then there is some, let's say, cheat sheet right here. Select your data, sort, custom sort. So we go to home and then sort and then custom sort. Now that we did this custom sort, we have this. And we can easily mention, so column sort on what? Column state, yeah, sort on cell values and in, let's say, A to Z, yeah. And then I want to sort with respect to sales. So I click on add level and then I select the second variable I want to sort with respect to that is, let's say, sales, yes. So we want to do this. And then after doing this, I want to, for example, sort sales in largest to smallest, yes. If I had more criteria, I could just click on add level and I could have done that. But right now I have only two criteria. First, I want to sort with respect to state and then with respect to sales. Then just click on OK. And then as you can see, first we have all the Illinois now, and then all the Indianas, and then at the very end, all the Wisconsins. And then So inside all the rows, all the 24 rows that the state is Illinois for them, see how they are organized. Like they are organized with amount of states. So $708 and 705, 689, 683, 659. So it means that I sorted with respect to the state name, and then inside that I sorted with respect to sales. Yes, for that you gotta click on custom sort. Okay, so this is how you do the sort. Yes. If your data has, let's say, headers, it's a good idea to just mention that. So here, my data has headers. You must make sure that if your data has headers, this one is checked. Yes, good. Now that was sort, and then let's talk about use of dollar sign. Use with dollar sign, use of dollar sign is very typical in Excel. With using dollar sign, you can fix number of, you can fix the values in a row, the values in a column, or the values on a cell. If you want, for example, fix let's say a column, let's say column A, you do this dollar sign A and then whatever cell that you want to talk about, 7. Now, in this example, I've fixed the column. If you want to fix the row, you can do this dollar sign, so sorry, A dollar sign 7. And if you want to fix both row and column, which means fixing the cell, put dollar sign before column name and dollar sign before row name. Now, so let's talk about a few examples. Example 1. So we want to multiply column A by a number in column B12. What's the number in column B12 is this. The correct way is by typing this A1 times dollar sign B dollar sign 12. So we want all the values in column right here, A1 to be multiplied by this. So this is incorrect way to just say this one times this one, A12 times B12. The correct way is to say this equals this guy A12 times, then I want to keep referring to this cell. So I'm going to put a dollar sign before B and a dollar sign before 12. Now, what's the difference between these two? Both of them are the same number. The difference is on the second row and third row. If you click on here, you have A13 times B13, but B13 is empty. So what's going to happen is that Excel is going to multiply, let's say, A13, which is 2, by 0, and you get 0. But, and this one, A3, 14 times B14. But this one, A12 times B12, dollar sign dollar, B dollar sign 12. And then I can plot, drag it down. And if I take a look at this one, it's, let's say, A13 times B12. Yes. This one is going to be A14, which is this cell 3, times B12, which is 1.56. So as you can see, with using dollar sign before the column name and before the row name, you can keep referring to the same cell. We can use the same thing for, let's say, to compare even strings. Yes. Now let's say we have two columns, another table, two columns. Column 1 is animal 1, dog, dog, cat, cat, mouse, dog. Animal 2 is dog. So I want to see this. If column G is animal, is the animal mentioned in cell H2. Yes, cell H2 is dog. So I want to see if these, let's say, animals are equal to this. Again, there are two different ways. The incorrect way is to say if equals if G12, so we just learned how to use if. If equals if G12 equals H12, so this cell and this cell are equal, then return 1, otherwise return 0. And it's going to work for the first cell. However, the problem is the next one. This one is comparing, let's say, G13 with H13. I want the G13 to be, let's say, tested against H12, not H13. H13 is empty, so H12. So how can I do that? Just this formula, look at this. I'm going to fix H12. I'm going to just make it dollar sign H dollar sign 12. So I'm going to say equals if this guy G2 equals dollar sign, let's say, dollar sign H dollar sign 12. Then return 1, otherwise return 0. So, and then I just bring it down. So you see when you have dog here and dog here, you got 1. This one, you got dog, again 1. But cat is not a dog, so 0. Cat is not a dog, 0. Mouse is not a dog, 0. Yes. Oops, we have one more row. Dog equals dog, so this one is going to be 1 as well. But all of these, it compares, let's say, cell G13 with cell H13. This one compares, let's say, here, this compares, for example, G15 with H15. Yes, or this one, it compares dog with 0, with nothing, with empty cell. And since they are not equal, it returns 0. So you must type the formula. Since you want to keep referring to cell H12, you're going to use that dollar sign before H and dollar sign before 12 to keep referring to this cell. So we want to compare these cells to this one. So that's application of dots. Now, we want to do the filter. Filter is the last thing we want to learn. And then we use filter a lot in this course, especially whenever you want to do t-test. In many cases, we do filter. Now the question is right here. The question, we want to compare cells in Illinois with cells in Indiana. So H0 is that cells in Illinois equals cells in Indiana, and H1 or alternative is that cells in Illinois, let's say, is not equal to, since I don't know how to type is not equal to, I'm gonna just type it. Sales in Illinois is not equal to sales in Indiana. So I want to test this as so I want to do the t-test. I want to get the p-value. Then if p-value is less than 0.05, we reject the null. If p-value is greater than 0.05, we retain the null. Before that, I have to, so this is my data, yes? Look at the original data. So here, I want to compare Illinois with Indiana. The problem is Illinois and Indiana, they are all mixed and matched. How can I choose all the Illinois and all the Indianas and then compare them? It's impossible. So I'm going to open two new tabs. One of them called Filter Illinois, another called Filter Indiana. And then I'm going to compare, just filter the original data in a way that it includes only Illinois. So I'm going to select my data points and then I'm going to go to home and then sort and filter and then filter. As soon as you click on filter, you see these like arrow downs, you have them. That's a good thing. Now we filter. So I want to filter with respect to, let's say, states, correct? Let's say I want only Illinois. I'm going to uncheck Indiana. I'm going to uncheck Wisconsin. Then I'm going to click on OK. If you're using Mac, make sure it's not on auto apply and make sure that each time you have to manually click on apply. So now that I did this, I can copy and paste this. How do I know that I did it correctly? A few different ways. First of all, look at this. State is only Illinois. Also, I have a funnel shape here. It means that this data point is filtered with respect to this variable. Another thing is that if I take a look at the observations numbers, they are not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 1, 2, 5, 8, 11, 14, 17. That means that you're skipping 3 and 4 and 6 and 7 and 9 and 10. Yeah, that's a good thing. So, but also that the color is different. So here on PC, the color of observation numbers is blue. On Mac, if I'm not mistaken, the color of these observations are going to be like in orange. But now I know that I did filter correctly. I want to copy and paste only this data to, let's say, that filter Illinois. Copy would be Command C on Mac and Control C on PC. Then, so I select everything, Command A, Command C, and then I go to the tab that I wanted, filter Illinois. I'm going to just paste it here. Now, after pasting, this data is not filtered anymore. This data is only and only Illinois, but observations number are 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 25. This is 24 row of observation plus one title. So after you pasted your data into, let's say, multiple tabs, the observation numbers must be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 until the end. And then we have only state of Illinois. And then these are just in regular color, not in blue or orange. So now I got all the data for Illinois in one tab. Now I want all the data for Indiana in one tab. Easily I go to the original tab. Now I go here and I click on Indiana and I uncheck Illinois and I click on apply filter on Mac or OK on windows. As soon as I do that, the filter is right here and we are good. So all I gotta do is to, let's say, Command A, Command C, copy this, and then I can go to filter Illinois and then just paste it. Now you see the observation numbers are not 1, let's say 2, 5, 8. There is no jump. And all the states are in Indiana. That means we have done a good job. So the filtering was correct. Now I created two tabs, filter IN, filter IN. In filter IN, I included only data for Illinois. In filter IN, I pasted data only for Indiana. Now I can do the t-test easily. I'm gonna maybe come here and I'm gonna start typing equals t-test, open the parentheses. And remember, for t-test you need 4 inputs: sales in the, let's say in the Illinois, sales in the Indiana, and then comma 2, comma 2. How can I do this? How can I mention sales in another, let's say, tab? Just go here and then this is like I want to choose this cup, so I'm going to just do this. Now you can always also type data here, yes, so you can type it right here or right here. It's a little bit easier to type it right here, comma. I go now to tab Indiana, filter Indiana, and as soon as I click that, Excel types it for me, filter IN. Then I click on sales for India. Then I click on 2, and then I click on 2. So that's how you can just compare them. And then all you gotta do is to just click on enter. That says 4.38 E negative 12. So remember, whenever you have this E, it means p-value is less than 0.05. So I'm going to start typing conclusion since p-value is p-value. I don't have to type in English. I'm going to just type in mathematics 0.5. We reject H0. If you reject H0, it means that we conclude that means of two populations are statistically different. We conclude that means of two populations are statistically different. So, one more time, I filtered my data with respect to Illinois. I filtered my data with respect to Indiana. I made sure that everything is correct. It happens many times that students first, let's say, filter and then they select data. No, that's wrong. You're gonna first select your data, then filter, and then paste it here. Yes. So paste the filtered data on here, filter Illinois, paste the filtered data on filter Indiana. And then when you paste it, there shouldn't, these cells, row numbers should not be in, let's say, blue in Mac or orange in blue in PC or orange in Mac. They should not be there. So I filtered my data, then I did the t-test, and the result is this. Whenever you have this letter E, it's less than 0.05. Whenever p-value is less than 0.05, you reject the H0, which means we conclude that means of two populations are statistically different. Which state is doing better? Just so you can calculate the means, if the averages. So for Illinois, we can use, for example, or we can do the sum as well. But let's say if you don't want to do average ifs, let's say sales in Illinois, sales in Illinois. I'm gonna go to data. Now, remember always after doing this, you might have some other calculations. So uncheck the filter, yes, here. So we gotta do this first and then do the, let's say average it. So go to your original tab. Make sure that original tab is good. So I'm gonna go here, clear filter, or again that click on filter one more time and then it clears the filter. Just click on filter one more time, it clears the filter. And then I can just do average ifs. Yes. So equals average ifs. Click, open the parentheses. And then sales. And then, oops, sorry. Sales, comma, then state must be equal to Illinois. Yes. Found the typo in your formula. So I had a typo. Oh, I forgot to put like the double quotation mark right here. Yes. Excel offered that for to me. So average sales in Illinois is this. If I want average sales in Indiana, I can just copy and paste this formula and then do Indiana. Obviously, Illinois is doing better than Indiana. Okay. So remember, t-test just tells you that if the t-test that we are doing just tells us that if the averages of two populations are equal or not. If they are not equal, t-test doesn't tell you which one is doing better. For that, you gotta use, for example, sum ifs or average ifs. Yes, as we did, it's higher for Illinois. Okay, thank you very much, everybody, for listening. I hope that this was useful and enjoy your time. Happy learning.